Hello everyone. Riya and I will be going over essentials for biophysics credits. So starting off, we have the scientific calculator. We need to find out how to actually use the calculator. So I will be sharing my screen and showing you on this website how a scientific calculator would look like. We have many functions as you can see. The most important ones would be the fraction, the square root, the squares, etc. So starting off with the fractions, you would just press the fraction button on your calculators, enter your fraction. You could press the arrow keys to guide yourself and press the fraction and make sure to press the side arrow button so that the cursor or the pointer is after the equation or after your brackets, and then you would press the equals to sign. Only then you would get a correct value. Now you have different sorts of fractions. You have fractions which have uh, this going on the numerator. So that and the denominator having another value. These sort of fractions are also very common. And vice versa, it could also be on the denominator. So again, how you would do it is fraction, press the fraction button again, enter your values, go down using the arrow keys, enter all the values and press equals to sign. Now going over the square root function, you would just press the square root button, enter your values, enter the mathematical sign you want to use, and just press equals to again. Going over the next function, which is the square function, there are two variants to this. So there is just the square function where you just enter your value and that's it. But there's also this function where you enter the value you have to square and you also enter the value above raised to it. So it doesn't have to be just square. It could be 12 cube or 12 raised to 4, 12 raised to 5, anything. So again, you would just press this button, enter your normal value, press the up arrow key or the side arrow key and enter another value. And like I said, press the arrow key again so your pointer is after the whole equation and press the equals to sign. And that's your value. Now you have the log function. Log function is simple again, just press the log button. Two brackets pop up. You have to enter your equation within the bracket. Most of the time you would find the fractions being in the bracket, so you could also press the fraction button again here, enter your values. This for example, close your bracket if it's not closed. If it is, just press the arrow key and equals to again. Then you have the ln function, works similarly, just a bracket, enter your value, and you get the result. The fractions work the same way. You also have the sine, uh, and then the cos and the tan function. Similar stuff to log and ln. You enter a value in there. You could also enter fractions. However, if you have to find sine minus 1, cos minus 1, or tan minus 1, you would press shift on your calculators, go to sine, press that, and then enter the values. Now for the e function, you would have to again press shift, press ln, and only then you would have the e function pop up. And over here, you could again enter the values in the box above e. So you could enter 3, that would give you a value. But if you have to do other mathematical operations on the power here, you could just continue 3 into 2, for example. That would give you e raised to 6, and that is that. Make sure to close all the brackets in your equations using the brackets. Now, one important thing is when you get your answer in fractions sometimes, like you would enter a big equation, but the calculator would give you a fraction as your answer. But to enter your values in the computer, you would have to find out the decimal. So in those cases, let's say this is your fraction, you would get this fraction as your answer. You would have to press SD. I can't do it over here, but in your calculators, you would have to press SD to find out the decimal. I can show it to you over here on our calculator. you would get a fraction of that sort maybe, and you would just have to press the SD button to make it into a decimal, and then you could enter the values. Now Ria will be explaining the rest of the essentials.
Okay, so I'll be going over the significant figures. In all the tests, you must enter the answers as three significant values. And the important point to note over here is that 0 is not considered to be a significant figure if it is at the end or start of the numbers. I will go over the example so that you guys understand this part better. It is considered significant only if it is between two numbers so that it affects the value in that sense. So over here in this example, you can see 107, since the 0 is between 1 and 7, is two digits on each side of it, is between something. That's why this number has three significant figures. But over here, it's 170, right? So the 0 is after the numbers. There's nothing over on this side of it. So it's not really between two numbers. That's why 170 has only two significant figures, that being 1 and 7. These rules stay the same with decimals as well. For example, here we have 1.07. Since like 0 is between 1 and 7, it has again three significant values. But over here, it is 0.17. Since 0 is like before 1 and 7, there's nothing on this side. It's not between two numbers. That's why 0.17 has only two significant figures. Now, about rounding off. In your test again, all the values must be rounded off to three significant figures at any cost. So you can see over here this example for sometimes you might get a really big value like this, but you have to enter it only in three significant figures. So since you have to enter it in three significant figures, the fourth number always in your answer, always the fourth number is going to be the deciding number, which will help you figure out which this number you should be rounding off to. So if the third number falls, sorry, if the fourth number falls between 1 or 4, then the rounding off is going to be going to be to the smaller number. But if it forms to falls to 5 or 9, then the rounding off is going to be to the larger number. Now, for example, this number here, 1432, since 2 is falls between the 1 to 4 range, so it'll be rounded off to 3 itself, like it will not be rounded off to 4. But in this case, since it's 8 over here, the 3 is going to be rounded off to 4, and then you just add a 0 after that, so that this is going to be considered as three significant figures because the 0 is not really between any numbers. Now, if you get a really large number like this, again, you look at only the fourth number since it's 6 and it falls in the 5 to 9 range. So you're going to round off 5 to the larger number. So that's going to be 146 over here instead, and just add zeros to all the remaining digits over here. The rules are always going to be the same for the decimals as well. Here you can see it's 316.78. Fourth number is 7, right? So it falls between the 5 to 9 category. So this 6 will change into 7. And that's what you leave it as because, or you can add like 0.00, but that really does not make any difference to this. And in this case over here, the fourth number is number 5. 5 falls in the 5 to 9 category again, so it's a large number. But since here there's no larger number than 9 in the 1 to 9 scale, so you are going to have to change this 1 to be as 2. Sometimes you might get your answers like this when you like enter a really big equation. The calculator might show you something like this. And in tests, it can be really confusing because sometimes the computer does not accept, like if you just put into 10 raised to the power 8. Over here, what you can do is you can just write this value like 5.5 and you type out an E on your keypad, and then whatever the power is, you just enter that number. Make sure that you do not keep any spaces between the E or between any of the numbers. It should all be like one after the other without any spaces. Now, in this situation, since there's a negative power, you write same logic here, 3.3, write an E, and then write -1. Yeah, so that's all for today. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us.